Our first fight is on cryptocurrency, okay? And we've got two interesting viewpoints on cryptocurrency coming up to the stage. Our first fighter is a gentleman named Tom Flake. Tom is the founder of a company called bCause, all right? The B and C in bCause stand for Bitcoin. You can guess what side of the fight he's going to be on. He's also part of the NASA iTech program, which is going on here at Innovate and Celebrate. All right, and he's a fierce debater. Trust me, because we went out to dinner last night and we almost got into a really mean and ugly argument until my wife stepped in and shut that down quickly, and I'm not making that up. So please give it up for Tom Flake. You're right there. It's a gas. Just grab your mic and have it. All right. Tom is going up against Will Graylin. Will's right there. Will's an interesting cat as well. So y'all remember that commercial that was in like a bodega in New York City where the guy used Samsung Pay to pay for what he had? Yeah, well, Will, that was Will's company. He sold it to Samsung. He ran Samsung Pay. I can't believe we got him as a fighter. He walked up before his intro music. That's how motivated this entrepreneur is, all right? It's all right, Will. He's launching his new company this month called Ovi, and he agreed to be a fighter anyway. So thank you very much. Please have a seat. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen delivery. All right, who's going first?
Go for it.
All right, Tom, you're going first. You have 45 seconds.
45 seconds. So cryptocurrency, the buzziest of buzzwords today. You can't escape it. It's on CNBC every hour. You got to ask yourself why that is. In the 1990s, we invented a new protocol called TCP/IP. It underlies the internet. Blockchain is the protocol of value, which is a really important thing. If I send you money, it's important that I not have that. Blockchain sort of defines how that transaction occurs. So ask yourself how many companies made a lot of money building TCP/IP companies. The answer is not many. The value came from what you could build on top of the protocol. Companies like Google and Facebook built vast fortunes based on TCP/IP, but they're not TCP/IP companies. So keep your eye on who's using blockchain to create value and answer questions for consumers, and that's where the real value is going to be built.
And time. Will.
So Tom's talked about Bitcoin being a lot of hype in the market, and it's very left of the hype cycle right now. So I think Bitcoin is in the 0.5 version, and underlying every cryptocurrency or any currency, the key is trust. And when you look at Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin cannot truly be trusted, and the technology is not quite there yet, because 20% of Bitcoins have actually been completely lost, 7% completely stolen, and it's very expensive to make Bitcoins and mine Bitcoins right now. Very, very energy intensive. And most of all, you're talking about 17 transactions per second when Visa is hitting 5,000 to 8,000 transactions per second. So it's not really there for prime time.
And time. 30 seconds to rebut.
So he said it wasn't really there for prime time because of trust and transaction speed. Transaction speed is a matter of decisions. The people who control Bitcoin Core have said it's more of an asset store. There are other cryptocurrencies like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash that have much faster transactions. That's a straw man argument. As far as a trust standpoint, you have to ask yourself today, how many transactions are occurring in cryptocurrency? And the answer is about $3 billion a day. Bitcoin has a market cap in excess of JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Morgan Stanley. So from a market cap standpoint, you go, well, the market believes it. And from a trust standpoint, ask yourself this, $3 billion a day in transactions. How many times have you heard that the Bitcoin protocol, SHA-256, has been hacked?
Love to cut you off. 30 seconds. 30 seconds, Will.
So when you talk about trust and transactions and $3 billion a day, look at even currencies and transactions like Alipay and WeChat Pay. They did $15 trillion last year. So this is real-time transactions. How many people actually made a transaction with Bitcoin the last week? I rest my case.
All right, interesting.
Well said.
Woo!
Well played, sir.
Now, I'm glad y'all reacted that way because I want to hear some energy here. You're allowed to heckle, you're allowed to cheer, you're allowed to boo. It's all about who's making the right point. So, with that in mind, Robin, you have the first question.
Okay, so we're talking about trust here, and we all agree money is going to go digital. What form it will take ultimately, I don't know. But we do know there are people watching, like the SEC, like China, who's also pulled way back on crypto. So how are you going to win the trust of regulators and governance?
All right, since he made a really good point, I'm going to let you go first.
So as far as trust of regulators, in this crowd, and that question has a very US-centric viewpoint, right? In Greece, in Venezuela, in other countries where they have really shitty fiat currency, that question has been asked and answered, and the answer is, in Venezuela, it's the number 4 user of Bitcoin, not by GDP, but by use, and the reason for that is because they're like, well, our national currency really sucks.
All right, Will, your response.
So the biggest economies in the world are going to regulate and control currencies. They're not going to let the dollar or the yen or the renminbi, be all over the place. So certainly, I think the largest economies, no questions, lots of regulation, stand by. The lesser economies, those currencies suck, and they need alternatives.
So we're buying tickets to Malta tomorrow.
All right, all right. Who's going to ask the second question? Gene's got one?
I've got a follow-up, guys. You know the adage that historians make the best generals, right? So we should learn from history. So is this conversation really about Bitcoin, or is it really about cryptocurrency in general and blockchain? Looking historically, before 1863, there were 8,000 currencies in the US until the National, I think, Banking Act created US currency. So is this really about Bitcoin or Ethereum or any one cryptocurrency, or about governments eventually getting on board and adopting blockchain as the foundation on government currencies, so that what today is speculative investments, tomorrow is just something that's worthless, but crypto is here to stay? How do you stand?
All right, Will, why don't you go first?
Well, I think governments are going to control the currencies in their countries, and it's a much bigger deal than blockchain. Whether you use blockchain or not blockchain, I think governments are going to be involved. The problem with blockchain today is the distributed computing power that's required. It's a lot cheaper to use the existing formats, and it's actually quite secure. You can account for it, and it doesn't cost a huge amount of energy or transaction fee to make.
All right, Tom.
So I think you're right. We don't know right now. So today, you don't know whether, out of the sort of .com bubble, we had Alta Vista before we had Google. And today, we don't know whether Bitcoin is Alta Vista or Google, right? Time will tell on that. But there's 1,800 cryptocurrencies, all of which solve a multitude of business cases. So we don't know where that's going.
All right, excellent. Everybody bring out their phone. The fight is over. All right, and we're going to have a few seconds to vote. It should be really easy. Pick who you thought won the fight.